Hello everyone, this is Riddhi Suteri, and today we are discussing this problem, that is word pattern. The problem description says that you are given with a pattern and a string S, and you have to find out that if this string follows the same pattern or not. Here the follows means that there should be a full match between each character of the pattern and each word of this string, right? Such that there is a bijection relation between each letter and this non-empty word. So here are some examples given. I don't worry, I will explain this example later. But first of all, let's look at the other conditions that are given with this problem. So the interesting conditions are that the string that contains word contains only lowercase English letters with spaces, right? And this string does not contains any leading or trailing zeros, and the only spaces that this string has are between the words only, right? And that is only a single space. So these all are the situation. Now let's jump into our whiteboard and let's see what the example says, and let's discuss this question accordingly. So this is the, let's write here. So this is the pattern that is given in the situation in the problem, and this is the string, right? But we have used word instead here. Why word? Because in the problem we are given with this single string, and what we have done is we have splitted these this complete string into individual strings, array of the strings, wherein each string represents a word in alphabet, I mean in English letter. So don't worry about this step. I will explain this step later when we jump into coding. So just keep in mind at this stage that we have used these individual words, or we have given with these individual words. Right now, according to the question says that these individual word or these individual characters should have a full match with these words, right? What I mean by this is, if A is matched with dog, right? And if B is matched with cat. Now, again, if we find B in our pattern string, so that means that the next character in this word array or the string array should be cat. Why? Because B is matched, B was matched with cat. I hope I'm making sense now, right? Since this is a valid relation, right? Now we will move further, and since A was matched with dog, right? So a this next character should be this next word should be dog, right? So this pattern fully matches with this word or this string array. So in this situation, this is a valid full match. So we will return true in this case, right? Let's take another example so that you digest the situation correctly. In the next example, this A is mapped with dog, right? So this is great. Then we have B that is matched with cat. Also, it is no hard and fast rule that A should be matched with dog. We should, when we iterate with this pattern array or with this pattern string, we will form relations, and we will later in the string, we will later check that if these patterns, don't mismatch later in the remaining string. So if these things went perfectly fine, so that means this is a valid full match. We will return true in this case, right? So B is matched with cat. Again, B is matched with cat, right? I mean, we don't have to write it because this was the initial relationship. So till there, till here the relations are fine. When we move at this A, we find out that A is matched with fish, right? But the initial relation was A is matched with dog. In this situation, you can say that A can be matched with fish and dog, which is not a valid bijection relation. So in this case, we will return false, right? Now let's look at this example. In this example, you can see that A is matched with dog, right? A is matched with dog. Again, in the next example, you can see that B is matched with dog again. So this is not a perfect bijection relation, because if dog is matched with A, dog should not be matched with any thing other than A. So which is not a case here. So we will return false in this situation as well. So going by these many examples, I hope you might be having a intuitive solution in your mind right now. Ki how should we proceed with this problem? So the very first thing that might come to your mind is we should be using hash maps to map these patterns with these corresponding words, right? So the first thing is we should be mapping, we should be using hash maps to map these characters to these string, right? And let's call it map. So this will solve our purpose, our initial purpose. Now, if you look closely at this example, we might map this A with dog, and we might also map this B with this dog. So we need to have a method, or we need to make sure that these words that we are using should not be used, earlier. They must not have been used earlier, right? So in order to, make this happen, we can use another hash map. And in this hash map, what we will do is we will map these words or map these strings to Boolean, right? In these Booleans, we will, we will hold true or false. If this word has already been used, so we will write false for that. Right, and let's make it used, right? So these all the prerequisite of, going further with this question. I hope you are able to digest this much of information. Right. Now, if you are able to grasp this much of information, I have made a kind of a flow chart, not exactly flow chart, but a kind of a flow about what all could be the situation, and how should we respond to them. Right. I have handled all the cases in here, and let's first of all look at this, that how should we proceed, and then we will jump into coding it. Right. So this was the pattern, and let's take a word regarding it as well. So maybe let's write dog. Let's form a valid situation and dog. Right. So we will start by iterating with this pattern thing, and we will pick each character. Right. We will pick each character, and firstly we will be having two conditions, right? If this word is already mapped, or if this word is already, if it word is not mapped, right? If this word is already mapped, in this situation, like suppose we have a relation that A is mapped with dog, right? So if it is already mapped, what we need to check is if this word that is A mapped with, if it is the word that is the corresponding word or not, right? So suppose we are at this situation, right? So if we reach at this situation, we will find out that A has already been mapped previously when we have traversed this thing. So if A has already been matched, so is it mapped with dog, or is it mapped with something else in the past? So if it is mapped with the current word, if it is the corresponding word, so if it is the case, we will continue with our loop. We don't have to return anything. We cannot return true at every true step, right? We will have to return false if anything went wrong. We will return true after the whole iteration is over and we have not encountered any false situation, right? I hope you are getting this. Now, if it is not mapped with the current word, we will simply return false and we will exit from the situation, right? There is no point of going further if we encountered a false situation at any given point, right? So this is the situation if A has already been mapped. Now, suppose we are at the initial step and A has not been mapped till yet. So if A is not mapped, so what we will check is, before mapping A with the current word dog, we will check if the current word or the corresponding word that we are at, is it in already use? Is in use? If dog has already been used and it has not been mapped with A, that means corresponding A has not been mapped with corresponding dog, right? It might have been mapped with anything else. So in that situation, this is not a valid valid full match. So we will return false and we will exit this situation, right? If it has not been mapped, and also additionally dog is not in use too, so that means we need to map these word and pattern to each other, and also we have to mark this word as used, right, in our used hash map. So I hope I have made made this algorithm clear with the help of this flow diagram. So once if this situation is clear, now let's move into coding this, and let's see if this passes our test cases or not. So initially, this is the thing that I have told you, that we are given with the whole string that contains all of the words separated by spaces. So I've splitted these words into a array of strings that contains words in each indexes, right? Now I have taken this map, hash map, and this use hash map. So the purpose I've already told you, ki this is for mapping each character to each word in the string, and this is to map each word to a boolean value that if it is used or not. Right. Now, this is a very interesting situation. Like, suppose you have 10 patterns in the 10 characters in the pattern, and you have only two words in the string. So this will not match anything, right? Because you have two different number of things in both the sets. So for that situation, we will immediately return false, and we will not check anything. Now here comes this loop part. Herein, if you look closely, we have two situations. Like this is the major if part. Just a minute. Yeah, this is the situation one, that if the character isn't map already. And if you looked at this part, you can see that this is the else part, that if the character has not been mapped correctly. I mean, if the character has been mapped, right? If you look at this diagram, let me open this parallelly. Right, so uh, let's just full screen this, and let's open this side by side. Right, so you can see that if the character has not been mapped, this is the above situation. If the character has been mapped, you can see that we will first of all get the correct I mean get the current value that it has been matched with, and we will then check if it is the current value. I mean, if it is the word that is currently in use, and if these both are true or not. If these are true, then we don't need to worry about it. So we have not handled this situation. If this is not the case, I mean, if these words are not the same, so we will return false from this situation, right? And now let's come at this part, that if the character is not mapped, and if the character is not mapped, also the word is not in use. I mean, if the character is not mapped and also the word is in use. So in this situation, I've told you with this with the help of this example, that this should be a false situation, right? So we have handled, or we have returned false for that. Now at this part, that if the character is not mapped currently, also the word is also not in use. So in this situation, what we have to do is we have to mark this word as used, and we have to put the relation, right? So this will be the simple loop. I mean, this will continue running until we are getting these valid full matches. If this loop runs fine, and if we didn't encounter any false situation like this and this part, so at the end of this loop we should return true, because we have we have found a full match, right? So let's submit this situation, and let's see, let's submit the code, and let's see if it passes the cases or not. Yes, you can see that it passes the situation, and this was the solution of for that. So if you liked my explanation, you can like the video, and you can subscribe to the channel as well. So that's all for today. Thank you guys.